preparing to live stream the meeting.
Should appear actual live. Yeah,
there
we're
we
live.
are.
We are
Fantastic.
live again.
So
Alive.
I am Sifu Slim, and I am delighted to be here
Hey, Sifu.
with Ayrton Giulio, who's across the oceans, land masses, rivers, mountains, fire pits, people bathing in the sun, people getting ready for ski season, all the way over in Italia. So please tell us, Ayrton, where you are and what things you're up to lately.
So I am in Italy, indeed. I am in Florence, and I am enjoying it here and going through life transitions. This is what I have been up to lately, transitions, massive transitions. And it all came from the inner work that I truly started to embrace, that could make that happen. Could only be that depth of the inner work. So this is what I've been up to lately, really working on myself and seeing how it would express and emerge outward. Wonderful. And outside from Florence.
From Florence. Ayrton, you're in your late 20s or early 30s? I can't remember.
Late 20s.
Late 20s.
28, 1994. That's why Ayrton, because Ayrton Senna left us on 1994, and my parents gave me the name of the guy.
Ah, wonderful.
Because I'm adopted from Brazil, and so they were fans of the guy, and like gave me his name. Wow. Big legacy, big honor to me. Like it's a great name. It's a great name. It's a great human who carried it.
So for people who don't know Ayrton Senna, could you describe a little bit about what he did with his life?
I mean, in very simple terms, he'd be, I am back on screen, I guess. He'd be a very generous, very humble, down to earth, super champion in Formula One in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s. And he was just very down to earth. He wasn't like, he was a top, and he gained the people of Brazil. He brought Brazil to the world, and excellence to the world from Brazil. So he was really, really loved as a human. And yeah, I mean, having his name, having such a loved name, it's something vibrationally. And I so feel the honor of that. I'm humbled and empowered highly.
You get to carry on a legacy and live to your highest potential and open your heart and mind and carry on that tradition. Does that sound wonderful?
Yeah, it sounds wonderful, empowering, straightening into my body. And I tell you more of me on the passport and up until 2021, I was going as Giulio to the world, Giulio Ayrton Giulio, because that's how I got raised in Italy, and that's on my passport. And I felt the calling to swap them and to go by Ayrton. And as I started doing, I started expressing more of myself, feeling way stronger. I mean, it's sounds like crazy thing, but yeah, please, go on, lead me somewhere
Okay.
for
The late.
our Sifu. Delight me with some questions, Sifu.
Okay. So what we're doing today is we're talking about the idea of sustainability of the positive things that are going on in our life. We were talking about career. We were talking about our initiatives, what projects we're working on, our interactions with other people. So imagine trying to get somewhere to develop those wonderful things. And then once you arrive there, what do you do to help sustain those and have a horizontal line with only slight bumps up and slight dips down? So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. So maybe you could share some of your thoughts on that before I share some of mine, Ayrton.
Hmm. Look, I love that you mentioned that lifeline bumping up and down, which is so representative um, to me, and it's so visual. It's so good. It gives the idea of how life is in reality of things, like what we're here to do. We're here to experience that up and down, to expand our range of tolerance, if I speak from a nervous system perspective and somatic approach perspective. Like really training your nervous system on a physical level. In this moment, I'm talking about somatics. So on a physical level, train your nervous system to hold more of life, means more and energy, emotions, electric energy, pretty much, and basically through your physical system, for example. So um, this is one thing. If I can give one as an example, like that is very powerful in itself, and then you connect it with all the rest. Of course, it's a pervasive kind of process.
I see where you're going with that.
Sifu, this is, yeah.
When you spoke about the electrical energy, Ayrton, I started thinking about the thriving that people talk about. I want to thrive. You know, we've got these survival mechanisms. Homo sapiens are programmed for short-term survival. That's 250,000 years of programming. In the animal kingdom, we're part of that. Many of the animal kingdom, if not all, are programmed for day-to-day survival. And so they have that pattern that allows them to survive today and to do it tomorrow. Then you have one step up, which is the thriving. So you have many of your needs met. If they're not met, you know how to meet those needs in a future point in time that's not too far away. So then you can thrive. So how does one maintain that outlook of thriving and that daily experience of thriving? And I'll ask you, Ayrton.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sifu. Look, what I perceive, and I want to see if I actually heard that truth that you shared, is that at our stage of evolution as human beings, we have the ability to do that, to have that thriving and to keep it on a continuous flow. Like we continuously thrive without falling down sometimes. Is this you're saying that this is something actually possible, actually implementable, and at ease? Am I hearing that correctly?
I agree.
Yes. Okay. So when you aim to do that in order to become sustainable in a way, and as I like to say, not even sustainable, but value adding to the environment, to yourself, starting with yourself, and for sure to the environment, but value adding. At that point, you're able to maintain, because you're focusing on how to make it expand. how to make it grow. And the focus shifts to a different, you see, level object, and that is in a way a next level, as I like to say in my jargon, because it's just a change that you act. I believe that there's change ever happening, everlasting change, and the perspective we choose to look at it from, it makes it look like a next level or a setback. And so you have this ability to reframe and to say, okay, I choose that change is a next level. It's change. It's something that is happening. How is it happening as the next level? How is it happening as the next level? It plays this sort of choosing intentional lenses, and you can point it towards next level, no matter what. Now, how do you see this circling back to what you were asking? How do you see that connecting, Sifu?
I have one thing that came to mind, Ayrton, when you were speaking. So you talked about the next level and a different level, and change is everlasting. So one of the things that came to mind about thriving, and it fits back into the open heart and the open mind, is this idea of embrace the next level. There's the next level. We have, when I was growing up, I was born right in the middle of the space race. The Soviet Union and the United States were trying to get to men on the moon, and then later the satellites and all of these things. And so I was born into this, and the Cold War. And I was born into this whole idea of innovation, and there was this race going on. And of course, I was born into the idea of enemies.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if you were born into the idea of enemies, but I certainly was, and my father was, and his father was. So the idea of having enemies was always there. So we had to embrace, the end of wars, and then the peace, and then the new thing that came out of that. So there was all of this stuff on the news and in the zeitgeist and in the nervous systems of my friends and my parents. And, oh no, the Soviet Union and atom bombs and hydrogen bombs, all this stuff. But if you think back to the 250,000 plus or minus years of Homo sapiens, every day you have to embrace the next level. Every day you have to embrace the seasons and the weather.
Inevitably.
Every day. So maybe share about your youth and what you had to embrace during your youth.
Embracing what I had to embrace during my youth, brother Sifu, is I had to embrace every single thing that I couldn't look at before a certain age. First of all, it's like that we get these imprints in the young age, like when you're really young, and they stay with you, and then you express them in adolescence for the most, because you're still building until 7, 10. Now it's shortened, and then you start expressing. And so there was anger, and there was rebellion, and I was just misappreciating the gift that I received, and that created a very incoherent, disorganized kind of reality, chaotic and hard to live. And this is, I'm talking about this as personal experience, and I know that it's just human experience with the different flavors of each and every one of us. And so for me, that was like with drugs, with dealing with drugs and violence, and not having good relationship with my parents, because I got adopted, and I've always knew that, but I loved but I loved every single minute of my life with them. I feel, I mean, so they loved me, they gave me, and yet you have this subconscious something ingrained, and there's lack of fulfillment, and it's all subconscious. And so this is that side of what I had to endure throughout my life to embrace at a certain point. And I started looking at it, embracing it, as you said, Sifu, when you really take it and say, this is what happened into my life, and what can I learn from it, and how can I blossom from it, really nurture myself of what happened to me, whatsoever it was, be grateful, appreciate. I had this thinking of thanking and appreciating. Like, so it's like, instead of feeling gratitude, it's really appreciating, because I feel it is more active as a napped to appreciate something. And the more things started changing, my power, my superpower started increasing, like and the rest started unfolding. So yeah, this is a little bit how the whole journey. I'm always quite expansive in my answers. I know it's a little bit part of my way of being. I really follow the flow. Um, but
I
I'm
think you might
glad
be
to be
able
sharing this.
I'm sure you've done writing in your life. I think me being a writer and you having thoughts that can continue to flow, it would seem to me that at some point you might want to write a chapter of your book and maybe see how that goes. I know you have a busy schedule, but maybe consider writing a book about your journey.
Mhm. That sounds cool. That sounds cool. Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, I do write. I actually write a lot. I have, if I look around myself, I'm surrounded by these things.
Mhm.
They're all around, and I write on them, and for different reasons. I have even too many that I can count. It's like, okay,
Pe-
yeah, I love writing, and it's powerful. It's powerful when you can share it through a book. Uh, I might think of it. I
People
might think
tell
of it.
Yeah, people are talking the last 10 years about being safe and having a safe space, and I don't feel safe, all these types of things. My safe zone is when I'm writing, and currently I use my computer, but I've had a time in the late 90s where I was over in Spain and my computer died and it was going to take 2 months to get the part. So I had to take out the long yellow lined notebook and I had to start writing on that. And my goal each day, in a very solitary place where I was, and I purposely found this place where I didn't know anybody so I could concentrate on the writing. But my goal each day was to, these long pages, do 10 of those per day. And that was my goal. And then once I did that and I filled up a few of those notebooks, now I got my computer back and I wanted to start putting that text into my computer and editing it. The first part I had a problem was reading my own writing because I'd been on the computer so many years. My penmanship had now become illegible. So that was the challenge that I had to get through there. What did I say? I can't read it.
Man, right. This is beautiful. This is beautiful to remember, like, to have these good memories uh of the past. Mm, I love it, Sifu. I love it. So you came to Spain to write your book,
Yeah.
and and as you were writing your book, you were in a place you didn't know anyone. Um, how was that experience of being in a space that, like, it's it's new, complete novelty around you? How
Well,
paradigm shifting was it for you?
yeah, I enjoyed it because what I was seeking in Spain was the 1970s. So I was leaving Sacramento, California in the late 90s, where we had a lot of struggles between the different races, between the different social classes, between the police and the gang members. We had lots of social disruption. And it was disconcerting. It was making your nervous system be fearful or uneasy frequently. And so, what I wanted to do, since I'm a peaceful person, I wanted to be in the 70s, which was one of the times that I remembered having a lot of freedom of expression, a lot of freedom to dress however I wanted, to wear the hair however I wanted. I was a young person, of course, in the 70s, but so it was this nice time.
Of course.
My father totally was okay if I had long hair. I didn't have that long, but I mean, it was longer than the Beatles, and he didn't have a problem with that. He didn't have a problem with the way I dressed. I didn't use
Interesting.
swear words. So
Interesting.
I kind of wanted to go back to the 70s. And so in the late 90s, I moved to a little town, not too little, near Malaga, Spain, called Benalmádena. And I lived in Arroyo de la Miel, and I took martial arts classes. But the only people I knew were in my martial arts class or at the language school. Besides that, I
Hmm.
was in a town where I didn't know anybody, and it was good for me. So I could go to a restaurant or a cafe or a hotel as the summer wore off and the winter began. I could be there alone because the tourists were gone by then. And then I could just work on my writing. And so I did what I call self mastery. You talked about, um,
Self mastery. Hmm.
you talked about the inner work that you did. And my
Hmm.
word of inner work is great, but my work, I called it self mastery. So mind, body, spirit, and then karma, and you can keep going, but start with those four. I wanted to work on those and become a person who could embrace those different levels that you talked about. So maybe you could share what your thoughts are on my journey to Spain.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Sifu. Yes. Okay. Um, Look, uh, you have self mastery, and I really love it because I have five steps. I don't know if I've ever shared them directly with you, but I'm sharing them now eventually. So these five steps, they start with self-awareness and self-mastery. And it's not even steps. I don't have steps. I have elements, five elements of this next level embodiment model that I came to develop throughout the years, basically, and what they came up to right now. And there are these five elements, and one of them is self mastery as a result, like to focus yourself, to just actually pose. It is based on posing, on being able to step back regularly, breathing in and out, observing life. Like, okay, where am I at? Where is it going? Where I would at least like it to go. Kind of do it regularly, having those moments of pure silence, stepping back and observing life. And that helps you see what's going on and master it, but from a centered space. And so that's part of it. This is what I can speak to a little bit, and then you really need to, by inner work, I mean literally what works on the subconscious, and on the also on a physical level and on an energetic level. um Before, absolutely, there must be self-awareness, self-mastery. This is why I usually share it first, then I speak about the energy levels eventually that are needed, because sometimes our willpower, it's like a resource that you have, and you kind of consume it throughout the day, throughout your decisions. So with all those decisions that you're making, you're using energy. So you need to also take care of how much energy you've got going on in your body. That's another of the elements. Now, I don't know how much time we have for this, but this would be the second. I will just list them out so that the third one would be actual values and total integrity, alignment, your actual truest self identity. And the fourth, it's inner work indeed. And the fifth is outer work, outer value creation. More than being sustainable, I believe in creating value. I don't work in life. I create value. I create value. I don't work anymore.
Tell us how people can get a hold of you through your website to do work on these elements with you and have you coach them through that and develop plans for them.
Yes, brother. Thank you, Sifu, for this question. Look, to reach out to me, there's my name Ayrton Giulio. I don't know if we have it written in the title, exact how it works. Yeah, you put it in there. So Ayrton Giulio, and as you put my name ayrtongiulio.com, you will get to the website. You'll see it's very easy to book an actual conversation with me. I want it to be easy. So www.ayrtongiulio.com, written as you'll read it, because it's Ayrton and Giulio. It's like a complicated name when you type it, especially for English natives. So this is what I'd say. I know it for long time experience, and I always specify that just for humor. So this is how you find me, and you can talk to me. It's free to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. and I love conversations, just going deep into conversations. And if someone wants my coaching, they get it. If someone that I'm not selling it in any moment, I'd be just there for you. Like, I'm here to hold space. I'm here to hold space, unlimited and uncompromised. So this is ayrtongiulio.com.
I'll put that in the comments, Ayrton. Thank you for sharing that. And
thank you, Sifu, for asking.
I have a quote, and I was looking up quotes on the internet today that I wanted to share today, and I have many more. I actually have 5 pages of stuff that we could have gone over, but I think we've done enough for today, and we'll regroup another time with some more.
Eventually, yeah.
Here's the quote, and it's funny that the person who they attribute this quote to is one of the athletes I interviewed for my book called The Aging Athlete, by Sifu Slim, and his name is Billy Mills. And in America, he's currently known as the most famous living Native American because he speaks to events all over the United States and sometimes around the world. But he's always leaving his home. Like, I think the year I interviewed him, which was 2013, I think he had been away from his home for 280 days out of 365. So always traveling to speak to worthy causes and to help people commune in ways that he found were healthful. And so here's what his quote is: "You have to look deeper, way below the anger, the hurt, the hate, the jealousy, the self-pity. Way down deeper where the dreams lie, son. Find your dream. It's the pursuit of the dream that heals you." So that's the answer for today. We're going to seek that dream. We're going to go beyond the anger, the hurt, the hate, the jealousy, the self-pity, find where those dreams lie, and we'll take our escoba and we'll broom that stuff away. We'll sweep that stuff away, and we'll see if we can get to those dreams and we can work on them. And we use people like Ayrton and use people like Sifu to help you in your walk in this life and your dance through the universe. And any last comments you'd like to share, Ayrton?
I would just leave you with the very simple fact that you are unlimited. You are unlimited. There's scientific proofs of it all over. Remember it. Focus on that. Don't limit yourself for whatsoever reason. You are unlimited, and it's a different concept to express, but totally just bringing your awareness to it will make a difference. Stay unlimited.
There it is. The Italian word for escoba, the broom, is una scopa.
Una scopa. Hai una
scopa.
scopa. Esattamente.
So we're going to get past
Yes,
all of those things that are hindrances with our escopa.
Una scopa, sì.
Una scopa, and then we'll find where the dreams lie, and we'll keep working on it, and then we'll thrive, and we'll pass on those lovely gifts to other. We'll sweep away the problems that the others have, and we'll thrive with them, holding hands with other human beings and being nice to the planet, the animals, and all those things. So I'm Sifu Slim. I'm asking folks to please like and please subscribe, and please share your comments below. We'll see if we can get to them. Until Ayrton and I do this again, thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you on the next time. Thanks so much. Aloha.
Aloha, namaste. Namaste.